Okay, let's talk about a huge and frankly painful problem. Why do most new products and businesses just fail? It turns out it's often not because the ideas are bad. It's because the way we're taught to build them is completely wrong. Today, we're diving into the lean startup, a totally different way of thinking that's designed to stop this massive waste of effort before it even starts. And this quote right here, it just nails it. When a startup fails, it's not just some numbers on a spreadsheet. Think about it. It's all those late nights, the brilliant engineering, the creative passion from really talented people. All of it just disappears. We're talking about a tragic waste of human potential on a huge scale. So that's the big question, right? Why does this keep happening? You'd think we'd have it figured out by now. But the hard truth is, most new ventures are being run with a playbook that's built for a totally different game. And to really get why, we first have to be clear on what we even mean by the word startup. Now pay close attention to this definition, because it's not what you might think. There's nothing in here about being in a garage or having two founders in hoodies. A startup isn't about size or age. It could be a brand new team inside a giant 100-year-old company. The one thing that defines a startup is that critical ingredient, extreme uncertainty. And guess what? If you're leading that effort, you're an entrepreneur, period. So when you're facing all that uncertainty, what do you do? Well, traditionally, people have turned to one of two main playbooks. The problem is, they're both pretty much guaranteed roads to failure. First up, we have what you could call the rocket ship plan. This is the classic business school method. You spend months doing market research, you write an incredibly detailed business plan with 5-year projections, and then you try to execute it perfectly. It's just like a rocket launch. Every single detail is calculated ahead of time because even one tiny error means the whole thing blows up on the launch pad. Then you've got the total opposite. Some people get so burned by the failure of the rocket ship plan that they swing the other way. They think, well, if all that management is the problem, then the answer must be no management at all. They throw planning out the window and just run on pure passion, gut instinct, and chaos. But as you can imagine, that's just as ineffective. And this really gets to the core of the whole thing. See, building a startup isn't like launching a rocket. It's much more like driving a car on a foggy night. You might know your final destination, but the road ahead is completely hidden. It's full of twists and turns. You don't need a perfect, rigid map. What you need is a steering wheel, so you can make constant, small adjustments based on the feedback you're getting from the road right in front of you. So, if the old playbooks are broken, what's the answer? Well, we need a new kind of management, one that actually puts us in the driver's seat, ready to navigate that foggy, uncertain road. It's a huge mistake to think that because startups are chaotic, they can't be managed. In fact, it's the opposite. A startup isn't just a thing you're building, it's a human institution. And any institution, to survive, has to be managed. It just needs a different kind of management, one that's designed for uncertainty. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question of all. How in the world do you steer when you can't see the road? The answer lies in a really simple but incredibly powerful feedback loop. And this is it. This is your steering wheel. It's called the build, measure, learn feedback loop. The whole goal is to go through this loop as fast as you possibly can. First, you build a very basic version of your idea. Then, you get it in front of real customers and measure how they actually behave. And finally, you learn from that data. You learn whether you should keep going on the same path, persevere, or if you need to make a fundamental change in direction, which is called a pivot. Now, using this loop completely changes how you think about progress. Progress is no longer, did we build the future we said we would? Because, look, if you build something perfectly on time and on budget, but nobody wants it, you've just successfully achieved failure. The only thing that actually counts as progress is validated learning, the real, hard evidence you gather about how to build a business that can actually last. But all this steering and learning isn't just for the sake of it. You're not just driving around in circles. The whole point of that feedback loop is to find the answers to two absolutely critical make or break questions. The very first question tests your value hypothesis, and it's brutally simple. Does your product or service actually deliver real value to people? Are you solving a problem they genuinely have? Is it something they'll actually use and eventually be willing to pay for? This is the most fundamental test of all. Okay, so let's say the answer is yes, people find it valuable. That's great, but that's only half the story. The second question tests your growth hypothesis. This is all about how new customers will find out about your product. Will it spread by word of mouth? Will you use ads? And once they find it, will they stick around? This tests whether you can actually build a sustainable business around your cool product. So that's your mission. That's the whole game. Your job as an entrepreneur is to use that build, measure, learn loop to run experiments that systematically test these two big hypotheses. The goal is to find real, data-driven answers as fast as you can and for as little money as possible, so you don't waste all that precious time and passion building something that's headed for a dead end. So I'll leave you with this thought. Think about whatever you're working on right now, a new company, a project at work, anything. Are you building a rocket ship? Are you spending all your time creating a perfect plan based on assumptions, just hoping you're right? Or are you in the driver's seat? Are you building a steering wheel, ready to learn, adapt, and actually navigate the real world? That's the question the lean startup really forces every single one of us to answer.